All right, we're about to go live. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Revenue Subcommittee meeting. Today we will go over a couple of bills that we will vote out of committee today. Today's a great day. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and the kids are playing. So with that, let's get at it. First bill we're going to go over is House Bill 39. George, you want to read the summary?
So as introduced, House Bill 39 would have required publicly traded corporations filing Maryland corporate income tax returns to include with their returns a confidential statement identifying the corporation's effective tax rate, among other information. For your consideration are amendments offered by the sponsor to strike the filing requirements for those publicly traded corporations in the bill and instead require the comptroller to submit an annual report to the governor and the General Assembly regarding publicly traded corporations that paid no state income taxes for the immediately preceding taxable year.
Are there any questions on the amendment?
I had a question, Mr. Chair. I apologize. It took me for some kind of glitch logging on there for a second. George, is it going to specifically identify any public corporations, or is it just an aggregate listing?
It's an aggregate. It's not going to identify any one particular corporation in general.
And is there any distinction, or is there any discussion or language that would segregate or separate between corporations doing out-of-state business or just in-state? And I got to be honest with you, I can't imagine any publicly traded corporations that are only doing business, as that term of art would be defined, in the state of Maryland. It would almost be impossible to be a publicly traded corporation and not do business across state lines.
So it's the number of publicly traded corporations conducting a trade or business in another state that are required to file an income tax return under the subtitle, and the number of publicly traded corporations identified above that paid no amount of state income tax.
So it does have specific language in it that talks about your publicly traded corporation doing business in other states.
Correct.
Can anybody explain to me, like, what's the rationale for that? Because again, almost every publicly traded corporation is doing business across in other states. What's the reasoning for that language?
George?
I would imagine that sponsor may be looking to try to ascertain the number of corporations that are doing business nationally that still have a Maryland nexus, have to file a return here, but because of apportionment or other reasons, do not have are not paying taxes at the end of the day.
And it doesn't require any type of reporting or segregation on those companies' business dealings, assets, or activities, how they allocate their income or their depreciation from state to state.
Correct.
It just says you didn't pay anything here for this tax.
And we're just getting an idea of what that global number of corporations is, and then of that global number, those that paid no taxes.
Thank you for the information. I appreciate it.
No problem. Palakovich Carr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just was going to direct a comment to Delegate Buckle and say that my understanding is this amendment really would just get at the same kind of reporting that the comptroller's office did several years ago at the request of a senator, where they basically just were reporting, of the, however many companies, what percentage were paying no taxes.
Okay, thank you.
I think you voted this out last time, Buckle.
I'm not sure about that one. I'm for the amendment.
Any other comments? Any other comments on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
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 Any noes? The ayes have it. The bill as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any noes?
No.
Let the record show that there are 2 noes and the rest are yeses. The bill passes. Next up is House Bill 191. George, you want to read the amendment? I mean, the bill.
This bill requires an addition modification under the personal and corporate income taxes for the amount of trade or business expenses that are paid or incurred during the taxable year that are deducted in accordance with section 162F of the Internal Revenue Code relating to fines, penalties, or other amounts.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor of House Bill 191, signify by saying aye.
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 Any noes? Yeah.
No.
2 noes, George. Bill passes. Next up is House Bill 471. George, you want
House
to read
Bill
the bill?
471 extends the termination date of the Rhizone program by 2 years. In addition, it also extends the duration of the Rhizone designations from 5 to 10 years, and as introduced, would remove the limit on the number of zones that may be designated in a single county or municipality. The bill also alters a related definition pertaining to Medco by explicitly including Rhizones there. There's one amendment. The amendment does 2 things. First, it requires the Department of Commerce to conduct a study of the effectiveness of the Rhizone program and to submit a report to the General Assembly on or before December 15th, 2024 on recommendations to improve the program. In addition, there is an amendment that would maintain the limit on the number of zones that may be designated in a single county or municipality.
Are there any questions on the amendment? Seeing that, all in favor of the amendment, signify by saying aye.
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 Any noes? On the bill as amended, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any noes? Thank you, Delegate Hartman and Buckle. This bill passes. Next up, House Bill 680. George?
House Bill 680 concerns the student loan debt relief tax credit. As introduced, it would increase from 9 to 18 million, the maximum number of credits that MHEC may approve for any taxable year. It required a portion of those credits to be reserved for graduates of HBCUs, altered the prioritization of credit awards by MHEC, and extended from 2 to 5 years, the period within which an individual must utilize the credit in order to pay their student loans. There are 2 amendments before you for consideration. First, the amendments would reserve $9 million of the student loan debt relief credits awarded each year for state employees, with prioritization given to those graduates of institutions of higher education where at least 40% of the attendees are eligible for federal Pell Grants. It would likewise also alter the prioritization of credit awards under the bill, and then it would alter the period of time within which an individual claims the credit must use the credit for repayment, and set that at 3 years rather than 5. Lastly, the amendments would require MHEC to conduct outreach regarding the availability of the credit.
Are there any questions on the amendment? Delegate Vogel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do we know if the full 9 million was used in the previous years?
I believe that they have been awarding the full credit amount each time. I can follow up with you regarding additional information regarding that. There is information that is included in the budget analysis for MHEC regarding the student loan credit program, and that includes information regarding what awards have been recently. I just don't recall off the top of my head.
Great, thank you.
Are there any other questions? All in favor of the amendment, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? on the bill as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? House Bill 680 passes as well. Next up is House Bill 706. George.
House Bill 706 would establish a business facade improvement program to assist qualified businesses located in sustainable communities with improving the outside appearance of their buildings or facilities. There are two amendments before you for your consideration. The amendments would require the Department of Housing and Community Development rather than the Department of Commerce to administer the program. And in addition, it would expand the program to authorize municipal corporations to apply for funds and distribute grants under the program.
Are there any questions on the amendment?
I just have one question. I don't know if it's the amendment or the bill, but what is, I don't have it right in front of me. What is the total amount of money that we're spending on the program?
Be $5 million annually, I believe.
Okay. Thank you, George.
Yeah. Any other questions on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. On the bill as amended. Signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. All in favor, second. Thank you. All right, George, House Bill 706 passes as well. This concludes our meeting for these bills, but stay tuned. I will be reaching out to some of you all individually to give you all an opportunity to be floor leaders on some of these bills and going forward. We got one in mind for Delegate Hartman, but we're going to review these and see what we can do. There's going to be a lot more bills next week. Stay tuned. We got a lot going on over the next couple of weeks, so please pay attention. And that concludes our meeting for today. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So
So
moved.
moved.